Good afternoon. Happy Love Week. Happy Sunday. Happy that you are here. I'm here. Wherever you are, I pray and trust that you are safe and that life is being kind to you and that the people that you love and are surrounded by see you for who you truly are, which is wonderful, beautiful, and loving. I am Coach Yolanda, International Spiritual Life Coach. You can't really see my heart, so I'll just hold him like this for a little bit. This is the week that we acknowledge Valentine's Day. Not everyone celebrates, not everyone believes in it. I do. I have a lifelong love for Valentine's Day, and not just in the romantic sense, but in the sense that acknowledgement of love should always be done every single day, every single moment. But if we're going to set aside a day to do that, then let's do that. And let's not make it about whatever the marketing gurus say it's about love. Let's just say that. And so I'm excited for this week for several reasons. But today I'm excited that we're together. I'm excited that we are, some of us are getting prepared for some big old game later. It's past my bedtime. I don't know if I'm going to be able to partake in those kind of celebrations, but I'm going to always celebrate love. And so I'm grateful that you are here. Last week, we wrapped up, sort of, the mental reality portion of our Power 24 series. This week, we are going to start the emotional reality. And all of this is to get for us to get a better sense of where our power is going. We started with the physical reality. Where are you spending your time? Where are you? How are you physically feeling? And how much of your power is going to those places, spaces, and experiences and being taken away from the things that you would really like to focus on, like your vision, your dreams, and creating the life that feels um, like you've created it and it was created just for you, and not just doing the same thing day to day and waiting for life to dictate how you are supposed to think, feel, and act. Then we moved into the mental reality. And we talked about how your mindset is one of the most powerful things that you can have when you are in control of your thinking. And what happens when you have limited thinking? You have a limited reality. If you don't think you're going to be able to do something, you're not going to be able to do it. If you have, as they say, even just a mustard seed's belief in doing something, then you have a greater chance of getting the outcome that you desire versus not believing, not thinking you can do it, not holding in your consciousness the belief that all things are possible. And so today, going through the next 2 to 3 weeks, we're going to talk about our emotional reality. I love to use with my clients I love to use the analogy of a car when we're thinking about our thoughts, our feelings, and our behavior. For me, that's all the human experience is about: how we're thinking, how we're feeling, how we're behaving, how we're reacting to things, how we respond to things, how we move through life. And if you do not have clarity about how those things look for you, then how are you going to put your energy in the places like your purpose, your destiny, your future desires? How are you going to create and then cultivate and maintain all of the things that you dream about, talk about, the things that keep you up at night, the things that you write in your journal that no one else knows about? How are you going to do that without being clear about where your sense of self is physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually? And so, as we are beginning, and I hope that for the rest of this week, you will start to look at your emotional landscape. Where is your power going? What things have you in your feelings, as they say? There are many things that have me in my feelings most of the time, one of which is this week. I love, 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 love Valentine's Day. Now, I had the experience growing up of having a sibling. My older brother was born on Valentine's Day. And so my mother, who loved all things celebration, who loved to party and throw parties, she didn't necessarily like to be the guest of honor at a party, but she loved to celebrate other people. She always made it a point to make a big deal about his birthday, but to also make a big deal about Valentine's Day so that I did not feel left out, so that I didn't feel like Valentine's Day is just about his birthday. And so he would have a party and get gifts, and I would also always from my parents get a gift for Valentine's Day. And it's something that I have tried to replicate with my own children, and now I get to do it with grandbaby girl, that Valentine's Day is not just for romantic love. It's for all expressions and forms of love. And so that's why I'm very giddy about Valentine's Day. We're having a pajama party at the child care center. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for just to see the kids have a good time, and learning. We actually have in our curriculum and in our themes, love. We talk about love. I'm always amazed that when children are in the midst, that we don't talk about love more. That I don't hear "I love you," so that children learn what love is. 2022, 2022, the group that I used to lead in the morning, we read All About Love by Bell Hooks. I've talked about that immensely, and I'm so grateful. I didn't have the opportunity to do it here in this space on YouTube, but whew, reading that book in the way that we read it, which we did a paragraph or two every single morning, changed my perspective, my definition, and the way that I look at love in my life. It's so expanded what I consider to be a true definition of love. And I don't believe that I would be in the mind space and in the physical space that I'm in right now had I not gone through that experience in 2022. I mean, it was the pandemic. We had a lot going on. And so every morning, reading about love and talking about all of the different components and requirements for love was really eye opening. And I recommend, if you want to do the same, that you get that book. And there's loads of books, but the reason I loved Bell Hooks' book is tells the truth. It tells the truth about what we think love is. It tells the truth about facing systems and programming that dishonor love, and how we have to dismantle some of those systems, all of those systems, if we are truly, truly, truly talking about love, talking about humanity, and allowing other people to see themselves fully. I never considered any of those things when I thought about love. I only thought about it in the romantic sense or in the family sense. And love is everywhere. On the 25th, in this space, we are going to have a discussion about love, things that are happening in our lives right now, in the past, and things that we would like to talk about in the future. And so I'm looking forward to the 25th being centered on love, because it's almost as if we get to the February 14th, we talk about it, and then we don't talk about it anymore. And it's something that it is as worthy as talking about as breathing. Breathing is essential to life. Love is essential to life. And love can be found in so many places. And I hope that the first place that you find love is within yourself. And that comes with having a balanced emotional reality. And so, what are emotions? So, again, for me, it's thoughts, it's feelings, it's behavior. And so, our emotions, our feeling, our emotional landscape is really about how we feel about things, how we feel about ourselves, how we respond and react. I use the analogy with my clients that your thoughts are a car or a plane or a bus. It's your vehicle. So your transportation, the way that you move in the world, your thoughts, and we talked about that last week. Your thoughts are like the vehicle, right? In order to get any place, in order to create anything, you have to have a concept of a thought. And so that's the vehicle. Your feelings are the fuel, it's the gas or whatever it is that makes your vehicle go. So you have a thought, it doesn't really do anything until you put some emotion behind it. And then your behavior is the journey, how you move through the world. And so when I'm thinking about myself in terms of what's going on with you, Yolanda, where are you going with this? What behaviors are coming from the thoughts and the feelings that have now come together that are determining the way you move in the world? And so for me, your mindset and your mind is made up of your mental and emotional energy. So you put a thought and a feeling together, whew, like I can have an arbitrary thought, but until I put some emotion behind it, it doesn't really do anything. I can think the sky is blue, true as rain, never changes. That's the thought. The thought is the sky is blue. But if I feel some kind of way when the sky is not blue, if I say the sky is blue and it just happens to be purple one day, I might feel some kind of way. There might be some emotion that starts to get generated now that my thoughts and my feelings are merged together. And it may cause me to behave a particular way. If you are joining us, we've been on since 1:30. Y'all remember I changed the time, and I remembered to change it up here too. Say hello in the comments. Just be mindful that your comment might be seen by other people. Hey, Miss A. Miss Asia, you're supposed to be at the movies. Why are you on Instagram? And you're supposed to be on the way to my house. Why are you on Instagram? Hi, baby. Um, so when we're looking at our emotional reality, the only thing for me, it may not be true for you, but it's true for me, that if my thoughts and my feelings are not clear, then I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going. I can't plan. I can't anticipate. I can't expect if I'm not having clear thoughts and clear feelings. And we all know when we feel out of sorts. If you feel out of sorts mentally, if you feel out of sorts emotionally, it's very, very challenging to navigate places, spaces, people. You know, when my mind is not right, I don't really want to be around a lot of people. When I'm emotional, I don't want to be around a lot of people because it's going to be hard for me to concentrate, interact. We try, you know, those of us who are masters of disguise, when we know we're not feeling our best mentally and emotionally, and we still show up and we put a smile on and we try to be the best versions of ourselves, and we're faking it, faking it, faking it. That stuff will wear you out. It will wear you out to have to put that mask on when you know that there's an imbalance emotionally or mentally. And so because we're focusing on our emotional reality, we want to be clear. Because if you feel, and I know that I feel, that as of late, your emotional energy has been focused on so many other things instead of where you would like for it to be focused, then it's time to do a check in with yourself to say, what's going on with me emotionally? It's time for us to be extremely, extremely honest. Good afternoon, Miss Giselle. I just absolutely love your whole name, Giselle Michelle. I hope that I'm pronouncing that correctly. Happy Sunday to you. We want to be clear about what's going on for us emotionally, because one thing that can happen is you could get caught off guard. You watching a commercial and all of a sudden the tears are flowing, you're feeling some kind of way. My beloved and I, we went to the Philadelphia Museum of Art yesterday, and there were particular works of art that I just got emotional just by looking at it. Hey, honey, I just got emotional. And so I'm asking her, like, why are you getting so emotional over a sculpture, over a picture, over a painting? Probably because there's a lot going on for me emotionally that I'm not either aware of or that I'm aware of that is now being expressed by other things. And this is not the time for any one of us to fake it, fake what we're feeling, hide what we're feeling, disguise what we're feeling. I've seen um, advice that can almost make you numb your feelings. And we've all learned how to do that, even when we were very little. Last year, when we were doing inner child healing, that was one of the themes that we talked about. Why do we numb some of the feelings? Because they're unpleasant. That's why so many of us are afraid to express ourselves, afraid to say how we're feeling. It terrifies us. When we see other people having an emotional moment, what do? We try to make it stop. We try to make it end. We try to, disrupt it. You see someone crying, here you come running with the tissues like, dry those tears up. We don't want to deal with your emotional reality. I have a child that says, I don't know what to do when other people get emotional around me. And emotional doesn't necessarily mean sad or crying. It could be angry, it could be whatever it is. Most of us get very uncomfortable when other people are expressing their emotions. And so, therefore, we don't like to express our own, or we have learned that sometimes expressing how you feel may get you in trouble. We learned that as children. Stop that crying. What you in there laughing for? I don't know about y'all, but I know part of my childhood experience was if there was a group of kids, a group of us in a room, and we were laughing, the adults would be suspicious. What y'all laughing about? It's like we're children. We're having a good time. It's like almost like you weren't allowed to have a good time. It was like y'all having too much fun in there. Hush up. And so many of us have learned to suppress our emotions, to not be connected to how we feel. Some of us belong to particular organizations that try to erase those emotions from you. You don't get to feel this. You don't get to feel that. Don't connect with this feeling. Don't connect with that feeling. And so, if you are disconnecting parts of who you are, how do you have clarity? How do you have clarity of self if you're not connected to the very energy that is living and breathing within you? And so here we are trying to control other people's emotions, trying to control our own emotions. We don't want to be uncomfortable. We see what happens. In my opinion, a lot of times when people are overwhelmed emotionally and we call it mental illness, what do? Call the police. Like, the police are not equipped to deal with people who are in an emotional crisis. That's not their forte. And oftentimes it leads to an escalation of the problem instead of a de escalation of whatever is going on. We see people having emotional, outbursts in public, and we all get scared. And it can be scary because we as a culture have not learned how to be comfortable with feelings, with emotions. And so, therefore, when we see them in other people, and sometimes when we see them in ourselves, we do our best to try to suppress it or ignore it or dismiss it or say it's something else. How many of us see people crying and then we start to cry? I'm one of those. I'm a waterhead. I see other people crying. It makes me want to cry. I don't even have to know what they're crying about. And so that level of vulnerability can also be uncomfortable for many of us because your emotions, your real, true feelings are also a point of vulnerability for you. People get to see you, the real you. And for many of us, that makes us uncomfortable. We don't want other people to see what's going on for us. We don't want other people to know that, something has us under the throes. We want to suppress that. And for many of us, it's because we learned in our childhood that when I am vulnerable or exposed, other people manipulate it, take advantage of it, or do something with that to take control. And if that is in your life experience, then I offer that you do whatever you can do to heal that. Because if you are disconnected emotionally, you will be disconnected mentally, you will be disconnected physically, you will be disconnected spiritually. There is going to be a disconnect. If there's a disconnect one place, there may be a disconnect in many places. And so for the next 3 weeks, we're going to talk about feelings, we're going to talk about emotions, we're going to talk about how our feelings can actually push us further or keep us stagnant based upon our level of control. But first, we got to understand that there are so many multiple feelings. Not We have more feelings than just sad, angry, happy, and afraid. And for those of you who would like to give more life and breath to how you are feeling, if you are ready to be connected to feeling everything and also being able to manage it, because that is also a part of the emotional wisdom or emotional intelligence, being able to manage your emotions. And so for me, one of the things I didn't know, and one of the things I have learned to do is to create a sense of being neutral, to not always react or respond to something immediately. And that to me is part of my emotional intelligence. I talked about that last week, staying calm in the chaos, being able to stay neutral, not react, not respond, not feel like I have to feel one way or another just yet. Let me think about the impact. I'm not always able to do it. Some things really make me emotional immediately upon sight, and I'm okay with that too. For me, it feels like a healthy balance. Because if I was out here reacting to everything, oh my God, I wouldn't be able to get anything done. I'd be crying over here, upset over here, angry over here, mad over here. And some of us know individuals like that. Their emotions seem to sway like a tree in the wind, and we can't keep up. You're happy and satisfied one minute, you're upset and angry the next. We don't know what sets them off. We don't know what the triggers are because there really isn't any clarity or understanding of how that energy in our body that never leaves us, how that energy in our body is pushing things along, just like the fuel in the car. You can have a thought, and then you attach a feeling to it, and then you off to the races, behaving in ways that to outside people who don't know what's going inside can look very scary, can look unhinged, but not necessarily means that you are unhinged. How many of us can control our emotions to the point where other people don't even really know what's going on? It's like, yeah, I'm upset. You may not know I'm upset because I'm not, expressing it verbally, but in here, there's a raging fire. But I'm very, very glad that I'm able to control my emotions to the point that even if I'm upset, I'm not raging. I'm not, projecting my anger onto other people. I recognize my feelings are my own, and it's not for me to poison the water. One of the things that, in my opinion, our culture has gotten used to is creating a villain or in victims. Like there's got to be a victim in every scenario. People expressing themselves to get a reaction so that we now choose who's the bad guy, who's the good guy, and sometimes we get to be the hero. And that can be very attractive. Social media is a wonderful platform, but it can be very, very easy to manipulate the masses with emotion, with feeling. So if I come on and I say something and I'm like, I want everyone to rally around me and really support my ideas, I can use emotions to do that. I can try to manipulate other people's emotions to get y'all on board with me. Because there's nothing like one to two or three or a group of people feeling the same way, feeling passionate about something. And then everybody's like, all right, we got to do something about this because we feel strongly about it. If you are not in control of the way you feel, other people's emotions will get wrapped up in your head and in your mind. And next thing you know, you angry about people you don't even know. You don't even know the full story. But somebody's got to be the villain. Victims, villains, and heroes should only show up, in my opinion, in fairy tales and fictional stories. We are so much more complex as human beings than for us to simplify. Someone did something, so now we all hate that person, or someone did something, so now we all love that person, or someone did something, so now we feel a particular way. If y'all remember last year when that young lady somewhere down south said she was missing when she was never missing, when her car was found on the road and the cell phone was there. Like, we all got emotional, those of us who believed her from the beginning. But her family was emotional. Her community was emotional. The country was emotional. Oh my God, somebody done snatched up this young lady off the side of the road. Her wig was there, the hat was like, oh my gosh, we were all upset because it wasn't getting enough attention, upset because nobody was really looking for, like, we were all together, collectively upset because here was a victim until we found out that young lady was not kidnapped. She created a story. I still don't know what her motivation was, but she went from victim to villain like that because we all got caught up emotionally in the story. We all know of individuals who have been the victims of harm. And so you take that, you may have been the victim of harm, and you see someone else being victimized. Now your emotions are tied up in a story that doesn't involve you, that you don't have all of the details to, but emotionally you feel it. Now we got to do something. And as soon as the truth came out, it's like, oh, we can't stand her. How dare she do that? How dare she get us all upset like that? And now she's the villain. Now we don't like her no more. Those of us who have a little bit more compassion in our heart may have been like, why would you do that, sweetheart? Do you know the fear that you caused and the amount of resources that were utilized to try to find you? You had everybody emotional, praying for you, praying for your mother, praying for your family, the community. That is what a manipulation of emotions can do collectively. How many times have we chosen a victim that then turns into a villain, or we've chosen a villain only to recognize that they were victimized? It happens all of the time. It happens. Emotions are powerful, feelings are powerful, and because they are so powerful, many of us choose to not participate. We numb, we hide, and listen, I'm right there with you, Giselle. I used to be very prideful on not caring. I don't care about this. I don't care about that. And it was the same exact thing. I just didn't want to deal with it because it was either too painful, or I'm telling myself that's just too painful for me to have to deal with. I don't want to be reminded of. And now, because everything is going on all of the time right before our eyes, we even become desensitized where we don't feel anything. Last year, I sat on or it might have been the year before, I sat on a panel about compassion fatigue, where we get so tired at feeling sorry for so many that we just don't have it anymore. We can be emotionally exhausted. And so when I speak about being neutral, I'm not talking about numbing. I'm not talking about not being connected. I'm talking about being so connected to the emotion that you still remain clear in thought, that all things have a reason, all things have something pushing. So if I see someone having an emotional meltdown, I'm not going to get all chaotic. Oh my God, we got to do something. It's like, okay, We don't have all the information, but we know this person is in need of assistance. Let's Can we ask them what they need? Because one of the things that we as humans, God loves us, is that when we see someone in trouble, we want to rally and we want to, without even asking, what do they need? Which is why it is so difficult sometimes when people are in a mental health crisis and we call the police. The police ain't trying to figure out why, so and so is on top of the roof screaming. They just want to get that person down and make sure they don't hurt anyone else. That's their only goal. They're not coming to talk. They're not really coming to do conflict resolution. And so sometimes when people are overly emotional and we feel like we have the antidote for that, we're not always giving them what they need. Someone's crying, here you come with the tissues. Why not let them have their moment? Why not let those tears flow? Because maybe that's what they need. Maybe that will support them in getting to the resolution of, why am I so emotional? Because we are all uncomfortable with emotions, because we know the power that they hold. I can tell you right now, if my granddaughter came in this room crying about something she wanted, I'm probably going to figure out how to give it to her. She's got me wrapped around her finger and she knows it. Gigi, I want. Gigi, I want. If a 3-year old is smart enough to figure it out, imagine what the rest of us have already figured out, that emotional connections are powerful. And because they are powerful, it's our responsibility to be very, very clear about what we're thinking and what we're feeling. And so please, please, please be mindful when your own emotions have you trying to pick a side. I got to pick a villain. I got to pick a victim. I got to pick a hero. Sometimes, again, we don't have all of the information that we need to even process how we feel about it. And that's what I'm speaking about in terms of emotional intelligence. That we don't allow our feelings combined with our thoughts to take us to places that we would never, ever consciously go if we were more conscious about what we are actually feeling. Are you feeling the upset because you have upset that you haven't dealt with in your life? Or are you compassionately feeling someone else's upset? So now you got to go get justice, thinking that you're getting justice for them when you're really trying to get justice for yourself, which is why we did the inner child healing last year. Because many of the motivations that we have, the things that cause us to respond and react, we can link it with childhood. I didn't get what I should have received when I was younger, so I'm going to make sure that I and other people receive it now. It is one of the motivating factors for many of the people who do service or who are in service in some capacity. You have, single mothers helping other single mothers because they remember when they were a single mother, or they remember their own mothers trying to do it. People that will tell you, I became a firefighter because I saw fire devastate my family, or I became a police officer because my father was a police officer, or crime was rampant in my life and I wanted to put an end to it. Emotions are great motivator for many of the things that we have and see in our life. Some of the good and great and wonderful things are born out of the terrible traumatic experiences that generated these emotions that we may not have even be able to label, but it's motivating us. I don't want anybody else to feel like that. I know what it feels like to be hungry, and I don't want anyone else to feel like that. I know what it feels like to not have a roof over your head, and I don't want anyone else to feel that way. Which is why it is necessary for us to be clear about our emotions. We could have a host of people who are in charge of a host of things trying to fulfill themselves emotionally, and causing havoc in the rest of our lives because they don't feel a particular way about themselves. They're going to take their power and use it to hurt and to harm others. I don't love myself, so therefore I need to, wield my power over others to feel better about myself. That is one of the saddest things I can think of a human being doing. I don't like me, so I'm going to make your life harder. Jeez. Talking about emotions has to become a safe conversation. We can't continue to be afraid of our own emotions, our own feelings, and we can no longer be afraid of others. If someone comes to you in an emotional state and you don't feel like you're a safe place, I hope, I pray that you have the sensibility to tell them that. I may not be the container for what you are feeling emotionally. And because we are in the midst of love celebrations, I just pray that the people who are saying, I love you, have some sensibility about their own emotional intelligence. Because if you are not clear about your feelings, how are you going to manage someone else's? It literally makes me cringe to think that there are people who are managing other people's emotional landscape and they have no idea about their own. How do you do that? How do you tell people how to manage themselves and how they feel when you haven't dealt with your own feelings? So taking ownership of the energy that's in your body, your feelings, your emotions is essential to being very clear about what your power is. Because if you are not, you might be out here using your power in ways that hurt us all. And we see that where not just men and women, just unhinged, saying all kind of unhinged things, getting everybody all riled up, getting everybody on their side. Come on over here where we can just say whatever we want to say and we don't care how it hurts other people and we don't care how it makes other people feel because we disconnected from our feelings over here. We don't feel over here. We don't have no compassion over here. Come on over here with me. So we can all be powerful together and manipulate the system so other people, don't get our stuff and make us want to feel. Oh, please don't be in somebody's face this week telling them that you love them when you don't even love yourself and you're not even connected to your own feelings, or you're using a relationship to feel something. And then you have to, as you said, Giselle, put it in little compartments that are safe for you. Oh, I'm okay with feeling happy, 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 but I don't want to feel sad. And for those of us who are out here in the world that you want to interact with humans, please be mindful of the people and the experiences that only want to limit you to particular types of feelings. Only good vibes. I can't, good vibes only. I think that's to say. Good vibes only. Really? So you're not letting people have the fullness of their human experience. You only want to see them, be around them, interact with them when things are going well. You only want people around you when they're happy. They can't be the full self of who they are. If I can't be all parts of who I am, I don't want to be around you. And I hope you don't want to be around me. What kind of connection is that? Where the only time that we can be there for one another is if it's a happy moment. Be mindful of the people who show up in all moments in your life. Be mindful of the people who are just as glad to be there when things are going well, and they're just as glad to be there when things may not be going so well. They're going to have your back no matter what the emotional landscape happens to look like. Be very wary of people who say things like, "Oh, I don't have time for those tears. I don't have time for all of that." Part of All About Love talked about allowing people to have the fullness of their human experience, allowing people to feel everything. Because guess what? Whether you think you're doing a good job at numbing feelings, you're going to feel it anyway. It's going to come up in some form or fashion. Or you are going to have to create behaviors that continue to numb, numb, numb. Whether it's eating, whether it's drinking, whether it's some other recreational drug or some other habit. Some people work, 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 work. That's their drug of choice to numb themselves, or people who can't slow down. I got to keep moving, keep busy, because if I stop, I might feel something. I might have to face some emotion that I've been running from for quite some time. I might have to be the funny guy or the funny girl all the time in all situations, because if I'm not funny, then I got to face the other parts of me. Many comedians will tell you the reason they're comedians is because it helps them deal with the pain that they're not ready to deal with or express. That there's also some darkness that has never been dealt with, never been healed, never even been explored. And so, one of the things that was helpful for me to really tap into not just how I'm feeling, but the intensity of the feeling. One of the things that I'm proud about at the child care center is we have started to talk about, like I said, it's a part of our curriculum, trying to get children to understand that there are more than four emotions. That you can, yeah, you can be happy, sad, angry, or afraid, but you could be disappointed, you could be frustrated, because there's a different level of intensity. And so, one of the things that was helpful for me in learning how to express myself is to recognize that if I say, or anyone else says they're sad, and we all know that imagery of the iceberg, of you see the surface, what's above the surface, there's a whole lot of other stuff going on below. And so when people say, "Oh, I'm sad," it may not just be sad, because sad means what? What intensity of that sadness? All that stuff that's under the surface that you may not want to talk about. Many of you, if you get your Google on, Google feelings wheel or emotion wheel or anything that's going to show you or be a helpful tool to give you more language when it comes to feelings. And so I was always prone to telling myself, "Oh, you're just sad." It's like, that doesn't really tell the whole story by just saying I'm sad. I feel isolated. I feel lonely. I'm disappointed. Like, when I could really pinpoint what the sadness was about, then I could face it. Then I could face it and embrace it and say, "Okay, that is a reasonable response to what you're going through." If I just walked around to "I'm sad, I'm sad, I'm sad," and I never identified what the intensity of the sadness was, then I just keep telling myself I'm sad. I need to get down to the nitty gritty of, well, what are you sad about? What is the catalyst for the feeling of sadness? It's like, it's disappointment. Well, what are you disappointed in? And then I can clearly list where my disappointment lies and get to the truth of it and tell myself, yeah, that's an absolutely perfect response. How many times have we ever told anyone who is in the throes of an emotional crisis, that's an appropriate response? We're more likely to call somebody and say, "We need to get a 72-hour hold. This baby over here having a breakdown." But then when we get to the gist of why they're having a breakdown, you're like, you know what? If I went through what you went through, I'd be breaking down too. It is appropriate. Now, we may not always have time to do that. You see people on airplanes that are upset. Most likely they've been drinking something, but sometimes, and we have no idea what is going on in that person's life. But if we sat with them in a compassionate and safe way and got to the bottom of it, we'd probably be like, you know what? I'd probably be pulling my hair out too. I'd probably want to fight the world too if I was experiencing what you are experiencing. But because we are afraid of emotions, we don't want to get to the nitty gritty of what's going on. We just want it to stop. So let's give it a drug. Let's give it a drink. Let's give it some food. Let's give it some work. Let's give it some sex. Let's give it some things that's going to, you know, make the thing go away instead of getting to the bottom of, well, what is the feeling? Why do you feel that way? There is a chapter in All About Love that talks about justice. And I never considered that for many of the emotions that I have experienced in my life, most of them were connected to getting justice. I feel angry because I feel disrespected and I don't know what to do with it. I want to get some justice. I want to feel I really do want to feel differently about the situation, but I can't see my way through it because all I know is I'm angry and no one is asking me, well, why are you angry? And is it anger or is it disgust? Are you disgusted? Are you embarrassed? Are you carrying shame? Is it guilt? What is it? Your feelings will lead you to a place where you would discover you were right all along. You were absolutely right to feel that way. But can you get to a place while you are holding this energy, this emotional energy? Can you get to a place where you feel differently about it? Because the memory's not going to leave you. The imprint that it made is not going to leave you. But you might be able to get to a place emotionally where you hold it differently. I am sitting here on February 11th. Isaiah's birthday is in 2 days. He would have been 27. And I'm telling y'all, the intensity of my feelings are such that I can't pinpoint just one emotion. There's anger. There's, of course, disappointment, guilt. I talked about that last week. It is a bizarre concept for me to have a child that I never got to meet at this age. I have a 30-year-old, I have a 28-year-old, I have a soon to be 25-year-old. I'm never going to meet Isaiah in an advanced age. And that's a bizarre concept to try to have to live with. And so all of these emotions are, of course, are there. And I'm aware of them, I'm acknowledge them, and when they come, they will come. In the past, and you know how Facebook loves to tell you what you were doing years before. And I recognize that the year after he passed away, the couple of months after he passed away, I was pretending to feel okay. I'm good, y'all. I'm happy. How the hell could I be happy when my child isn't here? Like, it just was pretending, not wanting to deal with the emotions, not wanting to deal with the feelings, and not wanting to burden anyone else with them either was causing me to be so fake. Let me tell you what we did for Isaiah's birthday. And my daughter just asked me, what are we doing this year? I was like, I don't want to do nothing. In the past, we've done some things, and I know a lot of that busyness was to not feel what I was feeling, but I'm in a different place in my life and I'm prepared to feel everything. I'm prepared to give voice to what I'm feeling, and that it's not just sadness. It's grief, it's anger, it's a whole lot of things. But when I am clear in my feelings, I can be clear in my thinking. And then I'm clear in my behavior. And then the power that I possess within me can be used in a way that pushes me forward instead of keeping me stagnant. I'm aware of the great pain that I am experiencing. I'm aware of the extreme emotions that are moving through me. And because I'm aware of them, I can tell it to other people. Hey, it might be a trying time for me. So please forgive me if I'm short with you. Please forgive me if I'm not my typical self. That to me is so much more emotionally mature than me walking around just angry or me walking around smiling when I'm heartbroken inside because I'm no longer afraid of feeling. I recognize the freedom that comes with it. As they say, I wrote a song about it, like to hear. I wrote so many different courses around feelings because I recognize that that is a pathway for so many of us. Reconnecting to your feelings is a pathway for you getting clear about who you are. Hey, hope and victory. Absolutely. Feel that thing and let it go. Now, how did you know that I was naming today's meditation let it flow? Let it go, let it flow, let it be what it's going to be. So that it doesn't turn into a physical illness, so that it doesn't turn into a mental illness because you're suppressing, suppressing, suppressing. Feel it. And so that is what I am offering for those of you who have been known to suppress your emotions, your feelings, your true feelings about whatever it is that's going on in your life, in your past, in your right now, and what might even come. The fact that we feel particular ways about things that haven't happened is part of the human experience. Monday hasn't even come, and so many of us already feel some kind of way about it. Like Monday has not even put on its shoes or brushed its teeth, and we already feeling some kind of way about Monday. That's not fair to Monday. And it's not fair to take and carry that energy into a place that you have not even arrived at yet. And so being clear about what you're feeling, and I hope y'all got those journals because journaling is also a great practice, a great spiritual practice to support you emotionally because it takes practice. If it's not something that you have been doing on a regular basis, expressing how you feel, then you might have to practice. And I hope that we are practicing again in places that are safe enough for us to do so. Because there's nothing like expressing your feelings to someone and them looking at you like, what do you feel? What's the matter with you? Why would you feel that way? Or telling you that you don't have the right to feel a particular way. Again, that is a part of many of our childhood experiences. And Bell Hooks wrote about that when she talked about justice. Many of our inner children, our younger selves, deserve justice for the times that we were not able to express ourselves freely. Grandbaby girl, I love the fact that she will have the opportunity to grow up in a place and space and time where she can feel what she feels and it's validated. That wasn't my experience, and I didn't always give that experience to my children. You know, little girls are supposed to be nice and kind and, not supposed to really express how they feel. Grandbaby girl got a strong no. She's 3. And when she says no, she means she will stomp her foot and cross her arms. And there's a part of me that's so proud about that. That she recognizes the power of no. And if we don't recognize it, she's going to tell us by stomping her foot. Like, y'all need to know the intensity of this thing for me. I love that for her. That she recognizes there's levels to this. Like, I didn't just say no. I said no, and I stomped my little size 5 foot, and I crossed my little arms because I need y'all to know how intense it is for me. I love that she is going to be able to experience a life where the people who care for her let her feel what she is feeling and not try to disrupt it, tell her she's wrong, tell her she's bad. Ugh, it drives me insane when children are expressing themselves and the adults who are in charge are telling them they're wrong, they're bad. Let the babies feel what they're feeling so that as they grow and develop, they will learn how to regulate those feelings. You can't learn how to regulate it if everyone is telling you how you're supposed to feel. Don't you want to be happy? Not all the time. Do you know all of this gift of energy that I have within me, all of these emotions? I want to express all of them feel freely. I hear her, she's here. I want to express and experience all of them. Because if you can't be fully sad, you can't be fully happy. Somewhere there's a limitation that you're going to control how you feel about things. If you don't let yourself feel all the emotions, you're going to try to control all the emotions. And so I love that for her. I love that even when she's upset and mad and angry, we're like, all right, girl, you're going to learn how to regulate that. And it is our responsibility to support her in that in the most loving way possible. But I don't know about y'all, but I came from the generation, if you cry, I'm going to give you something to cry about. It's like, I'm crying because I'm sad. And now you want to make me even sadder by spanking me? Like, it doesn't make any sense. But it makes perfect sense why we now have a generation of adults who don't know how to self regulate themselves emotionally. And so we do it in other ways. We do it with drugs. We do it with violence. We do it with video games. We do it with food. We do it with all manner of things. Because I don't want to feel, I need to numb, or because I am feeling everything, but I'm unable to regulate it. I also want to control it. Learning how to regulate your emotions is such a gift that you can give to yourself and that you can give to the world. Being able to express yourself emotionally is a gift that you can give to yourself and give to the world. And so I don't know how Hope and Victory figured it out, but today, my offering of a meditation is to let it flow. Last week, I talked about my course, A Time to Cry, where I believe we have a whole lot of places and spaces where people can gather and feel good. We need places and spaces where people can gather to be sad. And not just funerals. Not just funerals, because oftentimes there is a collective grief and we don't know what to do with that. We don't know where to go with that. And then it can turn into something else. And we've seen that with the uprisings in 2020. We had a collective grief about what was going on in our communities and how the police were just operating in ways that make no sense and killing us and killing us and killing us. And then you have this collective grief and you don't know what to do with it. And it turns into an uprising and then everybody's shocked and surprised. I can't believe that people are setting things on fire and upset. Really? When the continuous murder of innocent people is happening before our eyes and you can't understand why people are upset? Where are we supposed to go with that? Where are we supposed to take that? And even over the pandemic, I was called in to do meditations. Like, what do we do with this energy? What do we do with all of these emotions? We feel it. We let it flow. And I am not saying or supporting that people should be tearing up cities, but if we do not give people a proper outlet to express themselves fully, how many times do people go to express themselves and someone takes the microphone away or someone says, sit down, or, oh, you're too loud, you're too angry, you shouldn't say that. We have to get to a place where we're not afraid and we're not terrified to face what other people are feeling. And so for many of us, we don't want to hear what the people are feeling because it may mean that there's responsibility for us to do something. But if I'm not feeling, I damn sure don't want to hear what you're feeling. I don't care you're upset and angry. I have no heart. I have no compassion. Why would I care that you're upset about the conditions of your community? Why would I care when I'm not feeling? I done surrounded my life with material wealth and material things, so I ain't got to feel in my own life. You think I care about what's going on in yours? So, how do we, as individuals, get to a place where we are clear about what we're feeling? We are clear that it is our responsibility and right and responsibility to express it freely. And it can be done in so many different ways. Like I said, Beloved and I went to the art museum, and all I could see yesterday was expressions of emotions. And I guess that's why I got emotional, because to see how someone else took what was living inside of them and placed it on a canvas or placed it in a sculpture or placed it in something. It's a beautiful thing to witness. Now, side note, and this is a criticism, the Philadelphia Museum of Art considers itself to be a premier institution of culture. The fact that we had to go and hunt and seek and find works of art from artists of the African diaspora within Black History Month was a sin and a shame, to the point where I had to ask one of the museum workers that was, and many of them were Black. I said, "Where the Black people at? What's?" And they said, "Oh, you got to go to room 219." I'm like, "A room? You have halls dedicated to particular works of art, European art, Asian art. You mean to tell me? You mean to tell me? You mean to tell me? Philadelphia Museum of Art do better." There was a woman, other criticism, there was a woman who was giving a tour on some of the selected works by Black authors. And we were standing there listening to her. We did not join the tour because she did not seem to be well informed, particularly when she said, "Oh, this particular artist is one of the most prolific Black artists of the 19th century." And then she said, "I don't know where he trained at or where he went to school or anything like that." I'm like, "So you haven't even studied this artist that you have said is one of the most prolific art? Y'all got to do better. Philadelphia Museum of Art, do better." Okay, rant over. Let's meditate. Let's let it flow. That's me expressing disappointment, even though it was a glorious day. Disappointment in that part of the experience. Like they could have and should be doing a better job. Um, for those of you who are just coming on, do yourself a favor, go to Google, put in feelings or emotion wheel, and see how many of those emotions on those wheels. And they're different ones. There are even ones for children. We have started to put them in our center so that children can start to see, based upon their face, that there are different types of expressions of feelings. And it's okay to feel anything other than happy or sad. We are so filled with the gift of the power of feelings and emotions. Please let's not be afraid to express them. And please let's not disrupt someone else's journey of expression of how they feel by either telling them they're wrong or saying you shouldn't feel that way or not listening. And if you do not have the capacity to hold someone else's hand while they are going through an emotional moment, then please get out of their face and allow someone who is a safe container to do so. We have so many individuals who claim to be safe containers. And what I consider to be a safe container is that you let me feel what I'm feeling without disruption, that you let me say what I need to say without judgment or criticism, that you allow me the fullness of my autonomy without telling me I'm wrong, saying I'm wrong, or not being supportive in some way. I'm so grateful to be in places and spaces that if I say how I'm feeling, people are not trying to challenge that. Now, I will say there are some individuals that I am connected with that I recognize may not be connected to their feelings. So when I'm like, yeah, I'm having a not so great day, they don't know what to do with it. And we're like, oh, well, what can I do to make it better? I don't need you to make it better. I need to feel it. That's it. I'm not trying to run from what I'm feeling. I'm not trying to hide it. You asked, so I offered. Don't be asking me how I feel if you're not ready for the truth. I called someone the other day. It's like, how's your day going? I've seen better days, and they didn't know what to say, but that was the truth. I've seen better days. Hopefully, it will get better. I trust that if it's not already better, it's on its way to being better. Don't ask me how I'm feeling because I'm going to tell you the truth. And I hope that when people ask you how you're feeling, you don't say okay when you know you're not, unless those not your people. I completely understand that not everyone is ready for what it is that you have to offer. And I know that we all have to use our discernment in places and spaces. But please, please, please create and cultivate spaces where you can be who you be. All right, let's take some deep breath as we explore and expand the fullness of our emotional spectrum, recognizing that one of the most powerful things about us is our ability to feel. Hello, my love. How are you? Happy Sunday to you with the yellow hearts. Thank you. Let's breathe into that in this right now moment, we may not be able to articulate exactly how we are feeling, but we are open to the possibility that that information is going to come forth as we do our own self exploration about the energy that's in our own body. Can you imagine walking around with something that you are carrying that is probably heavy and not knowing what it is? Jesus, help us all. Imagine someone gave you a bag that had a bunch of stuff in it and they told you, don't look in there, but I want you to carry it. Would you carry it, not knowing what was in that bag? Not knowing why that bag was weighing your shoulders down and making your back hurt? Can you imagine? I would be looking in that bag like that. Like, you want to ask me to carry something heavy and I don't know what it is? Absolutely not. There's no difference than you carrying burdens within your own mind, your own body, and your own spirit, and you don't even know what it is, or you haven't connected to it, or you don't allow it to flow through you. You think that you can suppress it and all will be all right. We think that we can avoid it and all will be all right. Allowing your emotions to flow through you freely, but first becoming aware that they are there. That pain in your back, that twitch in your eye, that heaviness in your chest, that bubble in your belly, that ache in your knees might be connected to some emotion that is living in your body that wants to be recognized, that wants to be acknowledged, that really is asking for love. Like, can you please show me some attention, affection, some love? Could you let me know that you care about me, which is you? Tell me that you love yourself enough, that you are willing to feel everything that is contained within you. It's not going anywhere, and it deserves attention because you might discover if you tap into that emotion, you could finally tell yourself, that makes complete sense. I've been angry about this thing for years, and I was right all along. And now that I have acknowledged this truth that is living within me, I can see it differently. So that this hidden Unknown emotion is not driving me to do and choose things that aren't good for me. So I'm not pouring suppression down my throat, glass after glass after glass. So I'm not smoking suppression, puff after puff after puff. So I'm not eating suppression, chip after chip after cookie after cookie after slice of cake. So I'm no longer holding what I think is a secret, but is raging loud in my mind at all times. Let me allow that energy to flow through my body by first acknowledging it is present, by giving it a voice, because perhaps it's been living in me since I was a child and it never got an opportunity to develop a voice, to say, I don't like that. I don't want that. You never asked me what it meant to me. You never asked me how I felt. You never acknowledged my presence as a comfort in your life. So therefore, I grew up thinking I was a burden. Whatever the feeling is, whatever it looks like, sounds like, smells like, whatever memory it takes you back to, you owe it to yourself to let it flow so that it's no longer caught in your throat, no longer causing pain in your back, tightness in your shoulders, confusion in your mind. Continue to breathe into the possibility that if you tap into that emotion, you're about to tap into a wealth of information that releases you from the bondages of thinking that you're not enough. Mm. Be open to the possibility that if you let that feeling rise to the surface and give it what it needs, it will guide you to your greatest accomplishments in life. It will motivate you in ways that you did not think were possible. Whether it is sadness, disappointment, anger, fear, loneliness, hmm, despair, guilt, shame, whatever state of being that you find yourself in that you feel is wrong, are you willing to start telling yourself, I was right? I was right to feel that way then, and I'm right to feel that way now. And the more that I get clear about why I feel this way, I can see it differently. I can hold it differently. I can navigate and manage it differently. And I don't have to be afraid of it. I don't have to be afraid to say, I feel guilty. I don't have to be afraid to say, I'm ashamed or I have regrets. I can still hold my head high even when my emotions make me feel low, because I am in full control of my mind, my body, and my spirit, because I have made a conscious decision to let it flow through me instead of binding me, instead of keeping me resistant and limited. Oh, continue to breathe. And whatever emotion might be rising to the surface for you at this moment, I think it's a divine opportunity to write it down. Write it a letter. Have you ever thought about writing your sadness a letter to say, hey, I see you and I know what you're sad about? And then start to list all of the things that you can think of in that moment and tell yourself, you are right to feel that way. You're right to feel that way now, but you may not feel that way tomorrow. You might feel differently about it. It might take you a year. But if you are willing to walk through it, let it flow, you have a greater chance of transforming that energy into something different instead of it remaining the same and creating a poison in your body. There are so many of us who are unaware of the level of toxic energy within us because of the emotions that we won't allow to come to the surface and let flow. You holding on to something, I know I'm holding on to something. There are, and I can visualize them in my mind right now. There are three people that I'm still very angry with that I haven't worked that out yet. But I acknowledge it. I'm not going to pretend that it's not there. I'm pissed with these people. And I still have yet to get to a place where I've moved through it. But I feel it moving because there are moments where I say, well, what are you pissed about? How did they disrupt your lives? How do you know that they weren't going through something that they couldn't manage and that was the way that they dealt with it? Like I'm at that place. I'm not at the place that I was where I was like, F them people. I hope I don't never see them again. I'm moving through and I'm not gonna rush myself through the emotion for someone else's comfort, which has happened. It's like, oh, you need to let that go. I'm gonna let it go when I have fully allowed myself to feel everything. Because I know it's not just anger, it's disappointment, it's sadness. Like the behavior is so foreign to me that I just haven't resolved it yet. And I'm okay with that. And I pray that it doesn't create so much space and time that I'm never able to have a conversation with that person, with those people. But I tell you this, we shouldn't be having a conversation right now because it's going to go left because I still have it in me where I'm like, and I don't want to carry that, but it's there. And I'm going to tell the truth about it. I'm aware of it. It's there. And until I can move through, it serves no purpose for us to have a conversation. And they probably don't even care. And that's fair and that's fine. That's fair and it's fine. And I trust and I want to get to a place where I'm no longer holding this anger, but it's not just anger. But I also don't want to project what I'm feeling onto them. I said to my beloved yesterday that I was feeling a particular way. And his response was, well, what am I doing that makes you feel that way? And I said to him, I didn't say it was true. I said, that's how I feel. And it's not for you to do anything. I'm conscious that I'm feeling this way. You've done nothing. I have to resolve that. That's a mature way of dealing with an emotion. It's not his responsibility to do anything when he didn't do anything. I'm creating this nonsense in my head and I'm acknowledging it as nonsense. But I also want to get to the root of why would that be living in your brain? Why is that living in your heart? Where is the fear that you haven't dealt with that is making you feel something unhinged? I know it's unhinged. I have labeled it as an unhinged feeling. And I'm so hopeful, more hopeful now than I would have been 5 years ago, that I can then come back to him and say, I don't feel that way anymore because I've healed that part of me. And it was never your responsibility. But I don't want it to become a chasm between us where he's like, well, why are you acting different? Because I'm over here feeling something and I haven't expressed it. Let me tell you something. My love says feeling anger is very difficult. Mm. The fact that you acknowledge that you know when you're emotionally dysregulated is a bombshell. Oh my girl, you have no idea how mature that is. to know when you are emotionally dysregulated. Like, you know how many people are walking around like a time bomb, not recognizing all of this is off. Oh, you are so welcome. And I'm grateful again when you have spaces and places and people who are who create an energy of safety, you can express yourself in that way. So I can tell him things that I've never said to any other person because I know he can receive it without feeling like he got to pour water on the fire. No, let that fire burn until it burns itself out because I need to see it. I'm never going to learn how to regulate it if I don't do the work. And for many of us, we want other people to do our emotional work. Stop it. It is not anyone else's responsibility to constantly move heaven and earth so that you are emotionally regulated. You have to do that work for yourself. And so let's say what it is. It's like I'm having an unhinged thought, beloved, that I'm thinking that you are feeling a particular way about me. You never said it. Your behavior has not changed. Nothing has changed except what's going on up in here. And so if you sense that I am different, I this is why. Because it's something going I'm healing something up here. It's really surgery. It's really, really open surgery where everyone can see I'm working through something. And so that's why I don't have a problem telling y'all this is the week of my child's birthday that's no longer here. I'm working through some stuff. Stop trying to make me be any other way than real. I don't want to be any other way and then real. Because I did the fake stuff before and it caused more harm than it did. I have to go back to um, one of my favorite authors, Zora. If you lie about your pain, they will kill you and say you enjoyed it. If you don't express what is going on for you, and not just the sadness, the anger, but also when you are joyful. I've seen like quotes that tell people don't tell nobody when you're happy because they'll ruin it. Oh, you couldn't ruin my joy if you tried. And some people will try. I feel bad for them that they don't want to join in with my joy. But if you don't express your sadness fully, you can't express your joy fully. And so telling people who are safe, not everybody is, telling people who are safe that you are healing something, listen, today ain't the day for y'all to be coming to me with, this. I've done it at work, and the sadness it sometimes creates in other people, it also, upsets me, but I can't if that's the way that you're going to respond, I can't do anything about that. Don't ask me how I feel because if you say how do you feel and I say I don't feel well at all and now you're sad, then you go regulate yourself. You go regulate yourself because I'm going to express how I feel. But I recognize and I use my discernment that I can't say everything to everyone because now they trying to do stuff to make me feel better. It's like, I didn't ask for that. I did not ask for that. I am okay with feeling what I'm feeling because we are so dynamic. We're never just feeling just one thing. I can be happy as a clam and also heartbroken at the same time. I didn't know to give myself permission to do that. And our dear sis from South Africa said that a couple of weeks ago. It was like she had to give herself permission. I had to learn to do that as well. Give myself permission to feel everything all at once. Just like today, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to cook for my family. This is my Valentine's to them. And I'm still heartbroken. And we can be heartbroken together. We can be sad together. We can be whatever it is. And it's all good. And I'm not trying to change that for anyone. I want people to feel whatever it is that they are feeling. And I can create a sense of being neutral and not feeling like I got to jump on one bandwagon or another. I'm here. to be a container if necessary. But I'm also not going to try to sway you to feeling one way or another based upon how I respond. Because sometimes that happens. It's like people are angry and they want you to be angry with them. Why would I? When I'm only hearing one side of the story. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Just like our good dear young sister who had us all in a tizzy last year when she told everybody she was missing. Come to find out, she wasn't missing at all. She knew exactly where she was. Mm-mm. If I don't have all the information, I'm not jumping on one side or another. I can remain neutral. If in fact she is missing, I pray for her safe return. If in fact she is not missing, I pray they don't beat her up when they find her. Like we don't have to create monsters. There are enough monsters in the world. We don't have to create villains. We don't have to create victims. See people in their fullness, that they are not one or the other, that we are all, as I've said before, I know I'm the victim in somebody's story, and I know I'm the villain in somebody's story. And you are too. Somewhere right now, somebody's telling a story about you, and you don't look very good. They like, that heifer said this, did this. As nice as you believe yourself to be, there might be at least one person in this world who does not see you that way. And there may be nothing you can do about it. How people feel about you is their business. How you feel about yourself is your work. And getting the feelings wheel is one of the ways that you can start to take ownership of the energy that's in your body and give those emotions a voice. Give them what they need to feel like they matter and that they have value, because they do. I can't tell you how good it feels when I say to myself, you are not having a good day. And that's okay. You still good. You still beautiful. You still gorgeous. You might feel like trash, but it's a moment. It's a moment. And there will be moments like that. And one of the ways that we can be very clear about our power is learning how to self-regulate and to give ourselves what we need. My beloved and I, we needed that day yesterday. We both had a rough week the previous week, and it's like we tired and we out here, but we are surrounding ourselves with exactly what we need. We have to not just self-regulate, but also do that level of self-care that says, how do I regulate? What's good for me? What's good for my mind? What's good for my spirit? And one of those things is to let it flow. Let those emotions come up. And I pray that you have spaces that allow you the fullness of your entire emotional spectrum. That people don't just want to be in your life because of that part of you. Oh, I love her when she's happy. I love her when she's funny. But boy, when she gets angry or when she gets sad, I run to the hills. I can't deal with that. That to me is very disheartening. If you are connected to people who were like, yeah, I don't like it when you're sad. I don't know what to do with that. And it's probably because they don't know what to do with their own sadness. And we love the people who, when they know we're not having a good day, slide us a piece of chocolate. If that's their way, it's like, well, this probably going to raise my blood sugar up, sis. But I see the gesture for what it is. You want me to feel good. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I so do appreciate the people who try to support me when I'm transitioning through emotions. But I also love the people who allow me to feel what I'm going to feel, and not feel any kind of way, not feel like, well, and sometimes, I abandon myself. I'm sure that many of us do that. When we know we're in a funky mood and we're like, I don't even want to be bothered with me today. That's part of the human experience. That there are times where will abandon yourself because you tired. You have compassion fatigue where you're just like, I can't take another cry in the shower. I can't take another sad moment. So let me go distract myself with something. It happens. Don't beat yourself up for those moments where you're like, I probably had more glasses of wine than I should have last night. If it was what you needed at that moment and it didn't cause irreparable harm, don't make yourself feel worse. Acknowledge it for what it was. I didn't have the capacity to regulate myself any other way. So I took me a good old sleeping pill and went to bed, or I did what I said I wasn't going to do anymore. Yeah, listen, I have mine laminated because there are times, and I keep it on my phone because sometimes when you're in the throes of, it's like this, and there's something about pinpointing what it is that this connection gets made where you're like, that's what it is. It wasn't just sadness. It wasn't just I was afraid. It was I was heartbroken. There's something about being able to having that aha moment of, so then you can get to the moment of, and that was appropriate. That was appropriate. I love saying that to myself. That was an appropriate response. We love to hear the word trigger, and you're triggered, and you're. Listen, sometimes you don't know what's living up in here. So sometimes the response is appropriate for where I am or where we are in that moment. But when we have a clearer view and a different perspective, hopefully we can go back and be like, yeah, I may have overreacted. I can see that now. I didn't see it then, but I see it now. And if you caused any harm, then that might be an opportunity for you to go and mend some fences. Like I said, I got 3 people right now that I could probably fight them in the street if I saw them. And I'm praying that I work through that because that's not what I want to carry. That is not the emotional baggage that I want to carry in my life. But I know that there is something else. It's not just I'm angry with them. I might be angry with myself, probably angry with myself that I thought that they were going to be any different. We don't know. I hear little feet in my kitchen, so I'm gonna go and play with grandbaby girl. Let me put my hearts back on so I can play with her and greet her properly. I love y'all. Marissa Price, how you doing, baby? Hello, love. I know as a social worker, you are always dealing with feelings, your own and others. And so Marissa has a YouTube channel. Before we go, everybody put their YouTube channel name in the comments so that we can come check you out, so that we can see the work that you are doing. I always say that Marissa does freedom work. And so don't let just one voice be a source of inspiration in terms of feeling. Marissa has a Galentine's Day gathering coming up. That is something that many of us, please love up on your girlfriends. I said earlier on when we first started, I haven't been a good girlfriend. I haven't been a good friend to my sisters because I haven't seen them. Y'all know I'm over here cultivating this relationship. Takes a lot of work. Takes a lot of work. Trying to be somebody's wife takes a lot of work. So I just give me grace. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna do better. Um, and so y'all go to Marissa's YouTube channel if you aren't already there. For those of y'all on Facebook, hello, my loves. Um, I hope y'all didn't get sick of me and beloved posting all our pictures yesterday, but it just felt so good to get out. Yesterday was 61 degrees in Philadelphia, so it was nice to get out. There were a lot of people out, but it was nice to get out, take in some beautiful artwork, had a good dinner. Ooh, that I still have parts of. I forgot. Um, we needed that, and I'm grateful for those moments that we know what it is that we need and we do what we need to do to regulate ourselves. And understanding that regulation doesn't mean 100% all at all times. It means that we're doing the best that we can to keep things, to manage things. Sometimes we do a better job than other times. Sometimes we do a better job, hi, my Lisa, than other times. But do what you can. Do what you can. Please don't beat yourself up. It's a month of love. We're supposed to be loving ourselves and loving other people. So please express as much as possible. When you know that there are moments for you to express your love, please don't miss those opportunities. We need so much more of that. And not just to the people that you are connected to romantically. Um, in All About Love, I'm going to keep talking about it, by Bell Hooks. She talks about romance with children, and I'm like, what? Appropriate romance with children. And when the children come into the center, I'm going to be give them the big, like, oh my gosh, I missed you all weekend. Like, they may not even respond, but I want them to get used to grand expressions of love so that they're never embarrassed to love themselves in that way. Some people are embarrassed by love, and I used to be one of them. It's like, don't be doing too much. Now I am team too much. So pour it on to yourselves, pour it on to each other. On the 25th, we're just going to talk about love in all of its forms. I'm going to go play with my love bug now. I hope that you center yourself in love this week. Pull your journals out, talk to your emotions, write a letter to your emotions, no matter what that emotion is. Write it a letter and tell that emotion, I see you and I understand that you are here to teach me something, to show me something. And I'm not going to let you down. I'm going to let you be full. You team too much too. I'm going to let you be full. I'm not going to hurt anybody. I'm not going to hurt myself, but I'm sure going to let you be what you are so that you can show me what I need to see. I love y'all. I love me. I love us. I love the space that we have created. Love on yourselves. Next week, we're going to talk about emotions again. And it's going to be good. It's always a good time. I love y'all. Enjoy whatever festivities you are engaged in today. I don't have a dog in this Super Bowl fight. I just hope that no one is hurt. I just hope, because let's keep in mind that statistically, there are more calls to domestic violence hotlines today than probably any other time during the year. So let's pray for one another that we can partake of this game in a safe way, not just on the field, but in our homes, in the streets. Be good to one another. Pray that anyone who is partying doesn't do too much, that they don't rip up San Francisco and they don't rip up Kansas City, depending upon who wins. Let's just love one another. I love y'all. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Bye. Should I have grandbaby girl come in here? Let's get grandbaby girl to come here. Grandbaby girl, come here. Let's let her make an appearance. Angelia, not you. Where is she? Not look. The dogs are coming. Come here, girl. Say hey to the people. Come here. She said no. Oh, she got to bring her baby. Wait a minute. She got her baby. Come here. Come here. Say hey to the people. Say hey. Say see y'all next week. Say see y'all next week. All right, y'all. Bye. Oh, you're so sweet. Can some